Welcome to Piano Inspires podcast, celebrating pianists, teachers, and innovators as they share their inspiring stories about the transformative power of music.
Are you ready to take your piano journey to the next level? Introducing the pianoinspires.com subscription. With the pianoinspires.com subscription, you'll gain access to hundreds of teaching videos and webinars by experts in our field. This wide variety of topics is perfect for teachers, students, new professionals, advanced performers, and amateur pianists. These videos will inspire and guide you every step of the way. But that's not all. Your subscription also includes access to Piano Magazine. Dive into each issue packed with the most dynamic content, expert interviews, music, and book reviews, and more to keep you connected with the piano community. Check out pianoinspires.com today and unlock a world of piano teaching, learning, and performing. For more information, visit pianoinspires.com/subscribe and use coupon code podcast15 and subscribe today for less than $3 per month. Thanks for listening to the Piano Inspires podcast and enjoy the episode.
I am Sarah Ernst, and it's a delight to be with Dr. Rochelle Sennet here today. And I am Director of Teacher Engagement for the Francis Clark Center. And I'd like to share a little bit about Dr. Rochelle Sennet before we get started here. She has established herself as a well-known performer, teacher, and scholar. Her recital programs showcase her versatility at the keyboard, with frequent performances of works by Bach and Black composers such as H. Leslie Adams, Geoffrey Mumford, James Lee III, and Pulitzer Prize-winning composer George Walker. She was co-winner for the Krannert Center Debut Artist Competition, national finalist at the MTNA Steinway & Sons Young Artist Piano Competition, and a prize winner in numerous competitions. Her latest 3-disc recording, Volume 3, the third volume of 3 discs recording, so 9 discs total, in Bach to Black, Suites for Piano. This was just released in February 2024. So I'll encourage you all to check that out. She also recently gave the world premiere of James Lee III's Concerto for Piano and Winds with the Morgan State University Symphonic Band in Baltimore, Maryland. Dr. Sennet is an administrator and currently serves as Associate Dean for Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion in the College of Fine and Applied Arts at the University of Illinois. It's a pleasure to welcome you here today. So tell us a little bit about your early years. So how did music play a role in your childhood, and how did you get started at the piano?
I got started, music has always been a part of my life in some way. I grew up ravaging through my father's LP collection of Motown hits, songs from the 60s, 70s, 80s. And so that's what I was always immersed in music in some way. But in terms of classical music, I saw a pianist on TV one day. It was completely random, actually. So I wish I had a more fabulous story to tell how I got into music, but that's how I got into music. That I just saw a pianist on TV and I was taken aback. Oh my gosh, that just looks so cool. And so I begged and begged for a very long time, actually. And, parents think the children will change their minds. And
Right.
so, I kept begging. And so, of course, my father was really thrilled. And so he didn't tell me until later that they rented a piano for 6 months. At the time, you could rent a piano. So they rented the upright piano for 6 months, and they eventually purchased it, but they didn't tell me that. So, and I kept at it. And that's how I got started. My first piano teacher, her name was Hazel Rubin. She has since passed away. And I would say she's one of my biggest influences. Just the way she carried herself with such grace, was just very much devoted to her students. And so I would say that was my memory of my early years.
Yeah. What if you know, like when you saw that on TV as a young child, what about it really drew you in?
I remember it was I don't remember what piece it was, but I remember that it was a piano concerto.
Okay.
So I remember seeing a orchestra in the background. I remember seeing a pianist, a female pianist. I don't remember who or what again they were playing, but that's what I just thought. It was just we have this collaboration between this large ensemble
Uh-huh.
and this pianist just showcasing. It was just, I just thought it was something about that. It just stuck in my mind.
Yeah. So I can
Yes.
imagine then you as a young girl kind of getting your first piano at home. Do you have a
Yes.
strong memory of kind of when it was first in your house? And
Yeah.
yeah.
Yes. And so the first few years I had the upright, but then I changed piano teachers. And it was time to switch to upgrade to a grand.
Mm.
And so when I was about 13, I got my first grand. I was a surprise one day, Christmas, shortly before
Oh,
Christmas, and it was a Yamaha baby grand. And so that's the story of how I got into Yamaha. It actually started back then.
oh my
Um,
gosh.
so
A Yamaha grand for
baby
Christmas.
grand,
Oh
yes,
my
yes,
God.
yeah, that
That is
was
so lovely.
yes, and so yeah, that was how but I remember those first few years. It was the upright was a winter upright. They don't make those anymore, but yeah, it was. I just came out the first few years. My father was very much involved with practicing, and then I began to do more of it, on my own, and it increased and increased, and I just kept at it. Yes,
Oh, that
yeah,
sounds lovely.
yes.
So, what were your musical studies like in your childhood? Did you, quickly focus on classical music, or were you playing a wide variety of
Just
styles?
classical.
Just
Yeah,
classical,
just
yeah.
classical. So, but again, experiences come from listening to more than just
Mhm.
classical. As I said, I grew up ravaging through, R&B, um, pop music, and so that a lot of time that was my influence. Even still, in some ways,
Mhm.
it is today.
Yeah. Oh, that's lovely. So, we're curious to dig a little bit into also what brought you to today. What your path has been from those early years, and maybe what are some of the kind of real transformative moments that you experienced in that path?
Well, so there were some wonderful experiences, and I also have to say some of the experiences were less than ideal, of course.
Uh-huh.
And but what has shaped me with those less than ideal experiences on um, what not to do when I'm
Mm.
working with my own students.
Mm.
So the less than ideal experiences, I just would like you asked about transformative. I
Yeah.
would say one of the most transformative experiences. I was this kid. I was a pretty intense kid, and I was motivated if someone tells me that I cannot do something.
Mm.
I was
It
certainly
was
that
good
kid.
motivation.
Certainly,
Yeah.
yes,
Yeah.
I was motivated, but then I got just a little bit more motivation if
Uh-huh.
I got the sense someone tells me directly that I cannot do
Mm.
something. So um, one transformative experience came from when I was 15. I applied to a summer piano institute, and a once trusted mentor agreed to write a letter of recommendation. And I remember that very well because then the once trusted mentor shared that with me. And that's when it became very obvious. I mean, I learned that, very early on how race shaped how people treated you,
Mhm. Mhm.
unfortunately. And that was after that time, it was a little bit surprising that in the letter of recommendation that was shared after it was already sent, that referred to me as with a dated term, the term Negro. Rochelle is of
Mm.
the Negro race, quote, and I'm paraphrasing the rest, and goes on to say that because I have two parents, it's a rarity in these days. And can you imagine being a 15-year-old and seeing
No.
that? I
Yeah.
can imagine doing that to a 15-year-old child
Mhm.
or anyone. So that I was already practicing, but gave me just a little bit more of an edge
Mhm.
to say, you know what, I happen to, what kept me going though is because I love classical music.
Mhm.
And I was not going to, let anyone deter me from what I knew that even when I saw the pianist on TV as a young girl, that I wanted to do that.
Mhm.
And so, yeah, that was one of the things that shaped me. And not in the, in some ways, yeah, I wonder what if I were to go back and do that again, and yes and no, but because I would prefer for that not to have happened. But in some ways, I turned it into, something that I think that was transformative in terms of
Yeah.
my experience. So that's one of my earlier
Mhm.
memories. And I also remember some of the other positive experiences, you know, competitions. I did quite a bit of competitions as a kid. Some of them positive, some of them not so positive. But I just remember, a few times judges would stop and be very encouraging. Just those offering those encouraging words. You never forget those things as well. So those are the lessons I've taken from some of those past mentors, even just for the short amount of time. And that's something I also try to carry with me in my own teaching.
Oh, that's lovely. What about the competitions fueled you? What aspect of them?
Oh, just I loved performing.
Okay.
I still do.
Yeah.
I love that. That's what got me going. Just the performing aspect.
Yeah.
There was something about it. It was just quite motivating, and it's hard to. But yeah, I love performing, and any opportunity to be able to perform, because I spent so much time working on pieces. And I was a very intense kid, and I don't necessarily advocate for everyone to follow my path. But I at one point, at the age of the 15, when all this had happened, I was going to public school, and I was typically doing 4 or 5 hours a day.
Wow.
My choice. And then on weekends, if it didn't involve extracurricular like band, because I was a band person as well, flutist once upon a time. And but on days when that didn't happen, it was 8, 9, sometimes 10 hours a day practicing. I was just that one track minded at that time. So if I were to go back and say so, if I had the opportunity to say something to younger Rochelle Sennet, I'd say it's gonna be okay. This is your goals are great, and keep doing that, and it's gonna be okay. So that's the one thing I wish more people had said to me.
Yeah, no, it's amazing, when we look back over our careers and we see those moments where there was someone or something that really encouraged us.
No, for sure.
Right?
Yeah.
And you grab on, right? You say, okay, right?
Again, Hazel Rubin, my first teacher, was still because even when I switched piano teachers, by the way, that was one of the things I still thank her to this day. So when I first came to her, she said, okay, you've studied with me for 4 years, and these are the method books you'd go through. Once you get through this, then I can't teach you anymore.
Okay.
Not because that I don't want, but it was more like, this is all I have, then I'm going to send you somewhere else. So not a lot of teachers have the courage to say, I want to think about what's best for this kid.
Yeah.
So I still, again, I'm very grateful to her to this day for her doing that. So even after I left, I was still playing. I started playing in church as well, shortly after a couple years after I started playing piano. So she'd play organ. That's how I first saw her. She was playing organ up in the choir loft, and there was also a full-size electric keyboard. And so I would play along with her. And so that continued even after I switched to a different piano teacher.
Oh, that's lovely.
So I would see her every Sunday, even till after I graduated high school. Then when I come home and would see her, and so we'd play together. So up until she passed away. So she's still one of those people that still is burning in my mind. That just really transformative, really just how you carry yourself, even despite any odds, that you carry yourself with grace and you keep going.
Oh, that's lovely.
Yeah.
What was that experience like for you to have kind of this, regular church experience through your kind of full childhood?
Yeah,
What did that do for you as a pianist?
Taught me the art of collaboration.
Oh, yeah.
So you work with singers with various backgrounds, and and also gave me opportunity to, every year they would have this. We put on a Christmas cantata, and that's actually how I started playing, because I collaborate when I do collaborative work. If I'm working with someone long term, like my current duo partner, I play everything from memory. It stemmed from those experiences, but really wasn't to prove a point. It was more because when you're playing the same song, same hymns every week, this is before they were actually turning pages, and that and I'm trying to put this into my, okay, how can I make this more convenient? Oh, no music. So I
just decided to memorize it all.
It's easier. So, right. And then with cantatas that are like 80, 90 pages, it was too much. So you just put it away.
You were memorizing all that.
Yes.
Wow.
Yeah. But that was once a year. Yes.
Yeah.
But yes, that's how because people ask me, how did you start doing, and there was no one around me when I was doing collaborative work to tell me, oh, that's unusual. You really shouldn't do that. And then when you have a kid that no one's telling you that. And I'm just rationalizing it in my young mind. You came up with your
solution.
Yeah, it's like
right.
no page turns. So move. Okay, this is great. This is convenient.
Wow.
And it kind of, so there was not the fear
yeah.
At all.
Well, and it was your own choice.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yes. So that certainly was transformative in terms of my experiences working in terms of collaborative work. Singers, and then later I got more with instrumentalists. But yes.
Yeah. So it sounds like you had a very early notion that you're a pianist. Yes. That's what I am.
Yes.
Right.
Yes. You say, no one said it that way, but yes.
No, I love that because I
Yes.
think for some people, and myself included, I think that was more of a journey. Right.
No, it was always,
Yeah.
I'm a pianist.
Yeah.
This is what I wanted to do. Again, it's still
Yeah.
the image of the pianist on TV always was in my mind, and that's what I wanted to do. And did I have difficult moments? Yes. But I knew that's always what I wanted to do.
Yeah. So are there any other challenges or obstacles that you faced that you'd be willing to share in your journey?
Yes. So as I said, just you become very aware that there is not a lot of representation in terms of Black pianists, and so I can only count on just one hand, just the ones that come to mind. I remember the first time I saw Leon Bates, a pianist, Leon Bates performing. And then I was younger. I remember Awadagin Pratt at one point. Awadagin Pratt had just won the Naumburg, and so I was like, wow! And that was the first Black pianist to win an international competition. So I was like, oh, well, that's really cool. But just going to even some of the competitions, I just remember that wasn't always the most positive experiences. I had some positive, but less than positive because not a lot of people look like you. So, yeah, that's what I would say about that.
Looking back at that and seeing the landscape today, do you feel any differently? Because now you're also a teacher and a mentor for the next generation, right?
Yes.
And so how do you frame those experiences for yourself and for your students today?
Ensure that do my best to ensure that no student is feeling left out.
Oh, that's lovely.
So with studio classes, for example, I'm spending a lot of time. They come in from week to week, they 101, and I'm telling them, I'm giving you suggestions, and I'm listening to them play. But at some point, you have to kind of teach them by just stepping back. And so my studio class approach is a little more of a moderator, just step back. So those, for example, a student performs, and then I actually keep track of this mentally, that I ensure that it's not always one person is not always the first person to lead the conversation. So my students are the ones that give the feedback. Hey, you can try this. Oh, I like this. Oh, I struggle with this. So I just let them talk. But I always say, okay, so-and-so, and point to someone that will lead. And it changes every single time a different person plays. So just those little things. And then also, even before they start playing, they all introduce themselves, and just to get everyone said, and then they share something that they're willing to share random about themselves. It could be, oh, I'm looking forward to having pizza when I leave here, just to kind of, and so that format I've been doing for years. And that I definitely, because of my experiences, that has shaped how I just even something as studio classes, just those little things. So I embrace students from various backgrounds and experiences, because we all have different experiences. And then you figure out what makes a student, hopefully you try to figure out what makes a student tick, what they're interested in, what it is they want to do. And so that's my hope, is to try to guide every single one of them that comes through my door in the best way. Because and within some of the negative experiences I've had, I would not wish that on anyone. So, but that's with my with my students. You asked me about transformative.
Yeah.
So in terms of identity, when I got to college, are we on college yet?
Oh, sure.
Okay.
Yeah, let's dig in.
Okay. So as an undergrad, I was a student at, I remember when I was at San Francisco Conservatory.
Uh-huh.
And I was also, again, having that same time when I was aware that, not a lot of representation in terms of Black pianists. And so I began to, let me look up Black composers. And this is before Google. I believe there was Yahoo, but I actually I went to the library, and then actually the real physical catalogs.
Oh, yes.
So online was starting, but it was not fully developed online. But yeah, going through the real catalog, looking up Black composers. And anyway, I came across a recording of a piano concerto by George Walker.
Oh, fascinating.
And the pianist's name was Natalie Hindras, who was Leon Bates' teacher. And when I got that LP and went and listened to it, I was, oh my gosh, who is that? Who's playing? Oh my, this piece is amazing. And that was a transformative experience. Changed my life. So like, oh my gosh, there's this Black composer. And just, I wanted to know more. So that was another seed that was planted. And at the same time, what was happening is that I had a reintroduction to J.S. Bach as well. And so, believe it or not, actually, I was not a huge fan.
You're not alone in that. I think a lot of people discover Bach, right? Yeah.
And at one point, I was doing lots of preludes and fugues as a child, and so I didn't. Dude, it was fine. I remember doing a Bach competition actually as a kid, and but I was interested in the music of the 19th century, and so we were all required to take a year of harpsichord or forte piano. It was part of the curriculum.
That's lovely.
Which was great. So they have a very robust early music program there, and I remember the mentor at the time. I wish I had the opportunity to tell her this, to say thank you. Her name was Lorette Goldberg. She was a brilliant harpsichord teacher. So she's okay. We're going to reintroduce you to J.S. Bach. How's that sound? She figured out I wanted to play forte piano. So again, I was a kid that rationalized things. Okay, if either I play forte piano or I play harpsichord. Okay, I'm going to do forte piano. So because I don't have to play J.S. Bach.
Okay, I was going to say, is that because the repertoire?
That's exactly. So she figured that out, and you'll still play forte, but you'll still do some harpsichord. How's that? Yeah. So then she chose. I remember the pieces she chose for me because she figured I loved 19th century music. Was the Allemande from the fourth partita.
Okay.
And then the opening movement of the sixth partita. And I loved it. Like, oh my gosh, that also changed my life as well. So a lot of these experiences I had as an undergrad is what shaped the project that I ended up embarking on years later.
Yeah. And it's quite the project. 9 discs of music.
Thank you. Thank you. So it would happen that I started playing more Bach, and I wanted to know more. And then in fact, when I got my doctorate, my cognate field was performance practice. So even when I left the conservatory to pursue my master's at Michigan, I studied a year of forte piano as well. So just the early music bug was planted as well while I was still on this quest to learn more about Black composers at the time, which was not. There's not a lot of resources. So now there's a lot more, and even still, there's a lot of things that are still waiting to be found, and are waiting in the wings to be found. But I would say that my undergrad experience is what shaped that project. So it was always, and I was always programming music by J.S. Bach over the years, and music by Black composers or American composers. So it was kind of, I embraced not being, I didn't want to be labeled that, oh, you're the contemporary buff, or you're the Bach buff, or you're this. And so I was like, you know what? I love this music. So I'm just going to go play some J.S. Bach over here. I say J.S., by the way. People are wondering because I think CPE, Carl Philip Emanuel, and his sons were also cool people too in terms of their music. So I always like to acknowledge, even though when we say Bach, we usually, but so my students also know that I'll affectionately say JS.
Yeah, no, I
sure.
like that. I like that a lot. I always find it fascinating, those periods in life where our minds get changed.
Oh my gosh, yes.
And it's your mind was changed, right?
For sure. So I share that story with my students. The ones like, you may not like it right now. Just so every student of mine, their Bach is a requirement.
Oh, yeah.
But I also like to give. I believe in options too.
Mm-hmm.
So try this, because you never know. I also know. If someone had said to me, "You're going to record all of the JS Bach suites," I would have just said, "Yeah, right, sure,
Yeah.
right."
But here you are.
Here I am. Yes.
So I'm curious. So you heard this George Walker recording
Yes.
early on.
Yes.
So then, how did that form your path through the repertoire? And was that something that you were encouraged in? Did you start to kind of really purposefully look for Black composers at that point in your life after hearing the George Walker?
Off and on.
Off and
Yeah,
on.
off and on. But what was in my mind the entire time that didn't go away, I wanted to record that concerto.
Ah.
I didn't know how it was going to happen, but I remember that very well. I want to record that concerto, and it had not been recorded. So that stuck in my mind, and that certainly shaped my dissertation. I went on to write about George Walker's. I luckily I had some wonderful conversations with him before he passed. Went to his house, and actually went on to record the piece, and it was released in 2012. And we actually did there was a first live performance for the first time in probably not since the 1970s. And so that was a thrill to be able to do that in 2022. But that certainly shaped the experiences. And then I went on to write about my dissertation is on African American composers and the piano concerto. So that certainly shaped what I did much later. And
yeah. So when was there a moment, like I'm curious to know about kind of the repertoire that you studied, maybe even before college or in your early years, and if you were encouraged to explore and discover, if that kind of came of your own initiative.
It came on my own initiative.
Yeah.
And I was not encouraged at all. I mean, no, not really. It was the usual. And again, as I always tell my students, there's nothing wrong with JS or Beethoven or Mozart. I am beautiful music. And the purpose also of Bach to Block is, and there is more.
Yeah.
And so I was not encouraged, unfortunately, as I know many people were not, that you study classics and this is what you do and this is the path you take. And I was always asking questions, even with composers, regardless of race, American composers. I was always, for example, I was the kid I wanted to play the Barber Concerto, but my teacher was like, "Why do you want to play that?" He's very open about that. Yeah. So, why do you want to play that? Or I was a kid that I heard someone else play the Corleone Concerto, so I wanted to play that. I was always pushing boundaries. I just thought it's something that just sounded cool, that was different. And I just like, because we talk about programming all the time, but I really, really do believe program is really how you tell a story. There's so many ways you can tell a story, and it's not okay. You do this, but just how does one piece segue to the next, and just whether it's key relationships, whether as you're going to shock someone with a message, or just so many things, and just spacing in between the pieces. I'm always thinking about this, and my students know I'm obsessed with programming. Okay, start with this. Try starting with this. Is why you start with this. Okay, well, if you want to start with this is what. Yeah. I'm always giving the options on why you start with this one versus you could start with this one, but then here's what do you think? So I always make sure when I'm giving suggestions to the students, I make sure that their voice is part of as well, because it matters. Yeah.
It came back into my mind what you said earlier about, you as a young student and how you did you say a lot of energy? I'm not sure how you phrased it.
Energy.
Yeah. Or and I'm getting the sense that you kind of have a laser vision towards something. And if you put your mind on it, it's going to happen.
That's it. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, I will own that. Yes.
Okay. So now
I was that kid. I'm still that adult.
Yeah. No, I love that. Now, my question is, if you've had a student like that. Yeah. So, and how has that experience been for you when you see that in a student?
It's the coolest thing.
Yeah.
Because I can at least be able to explain this, try this, and try this. And this is why if a student wants to immediately want to specialize in only one composer, and I understand that where that is, and try this, and you don't want to stifle that, but then I also, again, that's where I like to share my story.
Yeah.
To say you never know. And this is the part where you learn everything, and even if you come away from saying you'll never ever play Mozart or ever play J.S. Bach ever again, you could at least be able to teach your own students and say, hey, this is what maybe it doesn't connect with me, but at least be able to play it and be able to be able to play it. So at least keep the options open. So yes, that's always, it's actually always fun when I get students that are just very energetic or just have a focused. But I also recognize that I don't get a lot of students that this is what I definitely want to do. So of course we all have, we started with one thing and then come out, college with something different. A lot of us do. Yeah. So yeah, I also want to. Because it's always a hard line to. Fine line to walk because you don't want to stifle a student's creative energy and you figure out what makes them tick. So it's always a little different with every student. But I also, what I love about is the problem solving myself. Yeah. You figure out, just even with something technical, or just figure out what it is that makes this student tick with the composer that they are connecting with and why. Just listening to them, and then, okay, if they like this, maybe they might like this or this. And so I'm just problem solving also. And then also, you want the students to be able to play pieces that they love and they enjoy. That's why we do music in the first place. And so I never want to be that teacher to stifle that energy. And also, I also want to use that time, the time that I have with the students, to also, hey, try this, and to encourage them to stay open as well.
So it sounds like you might be a yes teacher, in the sense if your student brings you an idea, you'd say, yes, let's.
Depends.
Yes,
no. Yeah. As soon as I say, it's a yes, no.
Okay. You're a yes, no teacher. Very
I'm a yes, no. So in fact, someone's students actually, they've heard me say this. They asked me a question. Well, should I do it this way? Yes, no. Okay. And I'll say why there's the yes and then why there's the no.
I love this. Can you give an example of that?
So a student might ask, well, do you want me to play it that way? Yes, no. No, because it's not, this is you're going to be telling the story. So let me explain why this is important. And you give the background. And so let me show you this way and why this way doesn't work. Whether something technical, try it this way. You see what, if you're trying to think about being more proficient, getting from key A to key B, if you're doing extra movements, that's not efficient. So just something like that. Right. Just why there's the yes and here's why there's the no, and you explain. Yeah. So my students also know that I want them to be successful, and so sometimes that can be some conversations that will also have them think about things. But yes, teacher, my students will probably say, I am far from that.
Oh, that's so funny. Now, how about with repertoire ideas? Do your students bring you repertoire ideas for them? Things they'd really like to discover?
Yeah. So I start by assessing if this is first year student that's coming to me. I get a sense of where they were, what their repertoire, if there are any gaps, and then go from there. And so even with there's clearly no JS in the picture at all. We have to address that, but give 2, 3, 4 options. Try that. You can this, right. Or this. Right. Try that. So you give them kind of a, just say menu, but just that way you're still helping to fill in gaps while making sure that they are involved in their own learning.
Right. They have a voice and a choice.
Yes. Yeah. And just even with just if we're working during a lesson to try to address something that's technically going, that's not always working the most efficient way. Instead of saying, okay, try it, you do right here, start here now. It's more, well, you try this and do this as many times before you go on to the next measure. Do this as many times as you need. And then whenever you're ready, go on to the next. Or start with the left hand, and before you add the right hand, do that. And then as many times as you need before you add this. So that way they have a choice to figure out when they feel they're ready to add in the other hand or to go to the next measure. So
Yeah.
yeah, I just, that really, really makes me tick, frankly, just say, and then when you see the students and those aha moments, or
Yeah,
they
that
come back
spark. Yeah.
years later. Oh, I remember it years. Oh, wow. Yeah.
Well, and it's a long journey. Like, there's those things that we learn as students that we really only assimilate even 5 or 10 years later.
Oh, yeah. I'm so
Right?
like, oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Where did the time go?
Yeah. Now, I'm interested to ask you a little bit about your role as, is it dean?
Associate.
Dean. Associate
Yes.
dean.
Yes.
And how your work as a musician and pianist and teacher has what that's brought to you in that role.
Yes. So I got into administration because I wanted to talk to musicians and beyond.
Mm.
And I also, as a faculty member, I also had some great experiences and some pretty problematic experiences. And so we have conversations that, there's a lot of discussions about DEI now. And I found, I served on committees for, and, there are task forces that happen across the country. I'm trying to kind of like the problem solving kid in mind. Okay, how can I get to more likely to see some change? You go to where the structure is. Okay, structure. Okay, administration.
Okay. Yeah.
And so that's not to say the journey is easy there, but at the same time, I've met some really, really cool people in the arts and beyond that I probably would not have had the opportunity to have conversations with, and it's been great. And there's been some challenges, and I've always embraced people that are willing to, hey, let's talk through this, and it's just great. It's, in that sense, I have no regrets, and that's definitely problem solving that I've learned as a pianist. So all 3 of my volumes actually were recorded. I started serving as associate dean unofficially in 2020, but officially in 2021. Volume 1 was released shortly after, so I was recording even as I was making a transition to faculty and administrator. So, and then the following volumes were all recorded also while I was doing both faculty teaching as well as associate dean. So it's a balancing act, but I wouldn't have it any other way.
Mm. So are you starting to feel or sense any change for, given what you've been doing in your role as associate dean?
Yes, no.
Okay, very good. Yes, no. Okay, tell me.
No, because there's always going to be, unfortunately, some detractors, because a lot of times we talk about change, but not everyone's ready to embrace the change. So in that sense, there's work to be done. And this should be everybody's work, just as we address curriculum, as we address other matters. So the same thing. Yes, there are people who are very much willing to roll up their sleeve and say, we need to see some more acknowledgement. We need to just really have, people are talking about those conversations, but the question is, are we ready to have them? In some cases, people are ready. And in that sense, we have seen the fact that there's in a lot of corners, some acknowledgement in terms of the work that has been done, and it still needs to be done. So it's a yes, no.
Very good. Yeah, no, I love that. So if turning back to, really the music world, what are the things that you see that are really having an impact on our world from music? And how do you vision that into the future?
I'm really encouraged by what I'm seeing with organizations like MTNA and Francis Clark Center, because this was not the case when I was growing up. There were no conversations about DEI or embracing repertoire from various cultures. That was not happening. So that I'm very encouraged to see. And just attending the Hal Leonard exhibition. I'm not affiliated with Hal Leonard. Let me say that. But I was attending, and just the folk music editions that have come out from various cultures. It's the coolest thing. And I'm very encouraged in that way. And how also just the people I've have had brief conversations with at the conference, and longtime colleagues. I'm really encouraged by what I'm seeing, and I'm also worried about our future as well, because there's a lot of pushback, but I appreciate when I'm hearing people say, we just got to just keep pushing and just really say this really matters. I mean, just for our future, the future students who are going to be future teachers, it really matters. And as I said in my talk yesterday, it's more than just the repertoire that, not being afraid to, if there's a painful history, as I've learned with some repertoire, and how language changes, that you have to be ready to embrace those conversations. So, there's a little bit of both, but I'm really, really encouraged by what I'm seeing with the landscape in the piano and the music world. And I really hope it continues.
In your mind, what are the important steps moving forward?
Well, there's always going to be a couple of steps forward and then many steps back. And then you take some more steps forward. So it's not always going to be a straight path. That's the first thing I've learned. But really, I say this every day, even in my administrative work, that acknowledgement really, really goes so far. That's how you build trust. That's how you continue to foster trust, especially when trust has been eroded in certain situations. And just, it doesn't matter where you come from. This music is, you can certainly share music of underrepresented composers, different cultures with your students, regardless of your own background. Do your homework is important, some research, the history in the background. So that way, as we do on a regular basis with JS and Beethoven, we spend lots of time speaking about it. While we can have those same discussions about research and those little details we pick on with JS, but we can do the same thing with composers of underrepresented backgrounds. Why not? Oh
no, that's lovely. So do you have another recording project on the horizon?
We'll see.
We'll see. Okay.
We shall see. But I'm just thrilled that this project was quite an undertaking. So it was a total of 38 suites over 3 volumes, 9 discs. So it was all the French suites, partitas, English suites, and the French overture, each paired with suites by Black composers, women. So the first volume was, just talk, and I wrote my own liner notes. And the first volume, essentially, in a nutshell, was these conversations. I'm thrilled to be part of those. Just have the conversations. Volume 2, let's talk about Black women too.
Okay, yeah.
And Volume 3 is keep talking about that there's more to the story. And then the first volume, the first track was from the English Suite number 5, the E, the B, and the E. And the last track on Volume 3 is Troubled Water by Margaret Bonds. Uses those same notes, E and B,
interesting,
as the way for me to say that the circle will continue, the conversation should continue, that it doesn't stop with Volume 3. Just keep having the conversations.
Oh, well, I'll be excited to hear what's going to come next. And it sounds like you will be too.
Yes.
Yeah. So last question for today.
Yes.
How does piano inspire you?
Oh my gosh, it inspires me to be able to have the voice to tell my story. That this is what happened. I acknowledge this is what happened. This was a wonderful experience. This was transformative. This was not so transformative. This was problematic. And how do I keep moving forward? It's just been great. It's always, I'm always thinking about, how do I tell the story? How do I share? How do I learn from others, my own students, that hearing their stories? And that's just been a great vehicle to be able to engage in dialogue that sometimes is difficult, but you just keep doing it. So I've loved that. It's also gotten me into op-ed writing as well. So it's been a vehicle to be able to share that as well. So the written word is also something I've also gotten interested in because of my love for piano. And it's been great.
And it all started with seeing a pianist on
TV.
I love that.
Yeah.
Well, Dr. Rochelle Sennet, it's been a pleasure. Thank you so much.
Thank you for having me. Thank you.
The Francis Clark Center is a not-for-profit educational organization that serves the advancement of piano teaching, learning, and performing. Divisions include Piano Magazine, Piano Inspires Kids, Journal for Piano Research, National Conference on Keyboard Pedagogy, the New School for Music Study, Piano Education Press, International Online Teacher Education, and Piano Inspires Online Community Hub. Please visit us at pianoinspires.com to learn more about our impactful work and inspiring community.